Hi everyone, welcome back. This week we are talking about character voices. Actually have a guest star that's going to be joining me this week. It's not just going to be me talking. Snow Merida, I don't know if any of you guys follow her on Instagram, but she is amazing. And her two main characters are Snow White and Merida. So she is very good at voices. Those two characters are pretty hard to get. I know that they're even hard for me to get their voices down a lot of the time. So she's going to be joining and answering all the questions this week. She's probably more knowledgeable than I am because she's amazing at voices. A lot of the times at parties, I get a little awkward and I just decide not to do character voices. I just kind of talk in a higher pitch than what my normal voice is. So I don't really do specialized voices for each character, but she is amazing. She does an amazing Snow White voice. She does an amazing Merida voice. She's just great at doing voices.
I have all the questions written down, so
Okay.
I'll start. So the first question on here is, which character do you find the hardest? And I'm assuming like which voice I find the hardest to work on.
Think is the hardest?
So because I do Snow White and Merida so often, they're super easy for me. I think I have two, Rosetta and Belle, and that's because I don't get to do them very often. Like I had Rosetta party this last weekend, and it was really hard for me to stay with the accent the entire time. Like I was reading a story and I could hear myself falter multiple times, and I was like, oh gosh. So and Belle is really hard for me too because she has a very distinct voice in the movie.
Yeah, she does.
So honestly, like it's hard to match it perfectly. Haley can match her voice perfectly. I don't know how she does it, but I can't do it. I try, but I can't.
Yeah, so I'm not really familiar with her. Does she have an accent? Does she have a southern accent? Am I making that up?
Rosetta does? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Accent.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not really familiar with all the fairies, so I was just like double checking that I was right about that.
Yep. The next question is, how do you practice? Mirror, movies, or watching park videos? I'm weird and I don't watch myself in a mirror or anything. I do watch all the movies. When I'll probably talk about this again, but when I learned Merida, it was like I watched the movie over and over and over and over and over again, and I would just, repeat the lines. I also watched park videos because the park videos gave me a better idea about what they talked about, how they responded to questions, and it also helped me understand how thick their accent was, which is not very thick because you still want the kids to understand what you're saying, but you also want to maintain character integrity with your voice. So yeah, I guess it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So next question is, how often do you practice the voices? So when I am learning a new voice, which I haven't had to for a while, but when I'm learning one, I practice it every single day. Now that I know them, I don't really practice them unless if it comes up in conversation or something oh my gosh, you can do so-and-so voice, sure, I'll do it. But I don't practice them per se, unless I know I have a party as them and I haven't done it in a long time. Then I might watch the movie the night before and get a refresher kind of. But
yeah, that's kind of how I do, because I don't play Merida a lot and she's so hard. So I think a couple of days up to my party, I'll just start talking in a Scottish accent randomly, and people are like, oh, okay. I'm I'm just practicing my voice. I'm trying to get back.
Yeah.
It really is hard to remember. It's muscle memory.
Yeah, we have, it's actually a new company policy that we're just starting. And I think it's a really good idea that 20 minutes before our party, all tech is off. The only thing we can do is watch the movie or read our character guides or anything like that. And we have to be talking in the voice or the accent or whatever that we're talking in 20 minutes before the party. So that I think is a really good idea.
Yeah.
Because I did it as Rosetta and that helped. So I think for future parties that'll really help too.
Yeah, I definitely
Um,
like talking like the character for the first time, like in front of the kids, can get hard because then you don't know what really is going to come out of your mouth, and then you're like,
exactly.
oh no, yeah. I think talking a very good thing to do beforehand, just like to refresh yourself and just like get into it.
Yeah. The next question is, how do you keep your voice for an entire party without cracking? Warming up,
Yeah.
especially for high voices like Snow White. I warm up my voice. I learned the hard way that you have to warm up your voice because I did an event. I had just learned how to do the Snow White voice, and I just like kind of figured it out. And I had to do an event as her. It was a tea party, and we had 3 of them in a row. So I ended up doing the voice for 6 hours, and then the next 3 days I had no voice.
Yikes.
So warm up your voice.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Anything, a little thing will help.
Yeah, I know that we always sing the songs before the party. So I think especially Snow White song, because they're like so high, I bet singing those would help too. Even if you're not singing at the party, to just like warm up those really high registers.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do kids notice if you don't sound exactly like the character you're portraying? Yes and no. It depends on the character. For me, I've had more parents notice. And it's not that I don't sound like the characters, that I do sound like the character. Yeah. And especially when I'm Snow, I have all these parents go, oh my gosh, you sound exactly like her. And I'm like, well, I am her.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Yeah.
And they're like, how did you do that? How did you work on the voice? I'm like, well, I grew up with this voice.
Mm-hmm.
I had one guy come up to me and tell me I sound like I sucked helium. I was like,
oh. I mean, that's not how she sounds, so.
I know. But it was at a baseball game, and he had one too many drinks.
Yeah.
And he asked me about my makeup first, and I was like, oh no, I was naturally born with red lips. And he goes, yeah, you sound like you sucked helium, and walked away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He clearly wasn't very familiar with Snow White, because he would have been right. Yeah. So have you had any kids like ever like call you out on something? I mean, you have great voices, so I'm sure they don't really call you out.
No, and then I've had kids when I'm Merida, I've had like, you know, I'm talking to them, and they'll be like, well, are you the real Merida? And I'll turn back and be like, well, are you a real boy? Are you a real girl? Or are you the real, like, I'll use their name. Are you the real da-da-da? And they'll be like, yeah. And I'll be like, and then they'll be like, you sound funny. And I'll tell them, like, well, I was born and raised in Scotland, and I'm from Dundrock, and this is the clan, and da-da-da-da-da. And they're like, you are real. And I'm like, of course I am.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, that's why you talk like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed when I've played Merida, though she's like the one that it's because of the accent. Like, I
you're
think
breaking up.
Oh no.
There.
Okay, good.
Now you're fine.
I think like Merida's the one character that I think I've never been questioned as, and I think it's the accent. Because even though my accent like is not very good at all, they just hear that I talk at least a little bit like her, and they're like, oh, like I've never met someone who talks like that, so she must be the only one who talks like that, so she must be the real Merida. But I think it definitely helps. I would never want Merida to ever go out without a Scottish accent, and I've heard that some companies or like some people have done that before, and like that one's a huge one that I'm like, no, you need to talk like her. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's where she was born.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Next question. Do you go for park accurate or movie accurate voices? Park accurate. Our company strives for park accuracy in everything.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard to like nail down your movie accurate voices because they were portrayed by different people. Yeah. So I can't like completely emulate exactly what they sound like.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's important for a character voice is not just what they sound like, but how they say things, like the inflection, tone in their voice when they say stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was the most important. Like, that's kind of how I figured out Belle, because she says stuff with a certain inflection?
Yeah, she does.
I think that question is later. Oops,
Yeah.
I answered it already. I'll say it again later. But that's how I figured out Belle, and now it's taken me years to figure that out. But now that I know that she has a certain like cadence to her, how she speaks, I got that down. And so like all of your characters have a certain cadence of how they speak. That's what makes them unique.
Yeah.
So,
and I think going off of that, it's like the problem with memorizing park accurate voices is people don't always sound the same in the parks. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like when it comes down to Merida, they all sound pretty similar. They all have that accent. But I've noticed, like, especially meeting Belle as an example, I've met Belle and you can tell that she's trying way too hard to sound like Belle. And so I'm just like, oh, you could calm it down a little bit. Because Belle has that throaty voice. So sometimes you could just tell that these girls are like forcing it. So with that, like watching some parks videos helps. But I agree with like the park accuracy because those are the characters that the kids are meeting. So you really want to sound and act like them.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna now. There's like a bunch of questions related to certain characters, so I'm gonna like
all those
group
together.
Clump them together.
Yeah. So I think
so
like specific characters, which are pretty.
So these are questions related to Snow White.
Yeah.
So what's the trick to Snow's voice, and how do you train your voice to be able to talk so high? Well, so I'm lucky that I was born with a higher voice already. But I think training your voice to sound like Snow White is you would have, like you're training your voice to sing higher.
Yes.
You'd have to warm up. You'd have to warm up and then like work on your range to get up there. I obviously wouldn't start, if you ever have like a lower voice, I wouldn't automatically just start talking like that because you're going to sound really squeaky and cracky and it's not going to work. I think you need to work in a range that's comfortable for you at first and then slowly work your way up.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I know that even when I do parties now, I don't do her all the way up voice because I mean, I have a very low voice naturally. So I just, if you can't, the people that can't naturally hit those really high notes, I would just say like, do a high level that you're comfortable with. And like you said, just like singing, like normally when we talk, we're in our chest voice, but talking is Snow, you can go up here and you just have
I was gonna say, so I learned it like your head voice is like you're a unicorn and your voice is coming from your horn.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I do for Snow White. Like my nose hurts and it tickles so bad by the end of this party I have to sneeze. That's how bad.
That's so funny. But then you have control over your resonance like that. Because that's the biggest thing is like each character has a different place that they're resonating from. And it's based on the person and how they do it. Most people talk from their chest, but I think Disney specifically picks those people with those different voices. So people like from Disney, like Belle is definitely from her throat. Ariel's a little from her throat too. But that's a good way to think of it. Like you're a unicorn just like sending those voices out of your head.
Yeah. So if you guys want, I saw a question, like I peeked in the comments, and somebody asked if we could talk in voices. And I think once we answer all the questions, maybe we could do that for a little bit. But right now I don't want to.
Yeah. I always find that it's like really hard for me too to like talk in character when I'm not in character. There's something about like being in character that makes me be like, oh, now I'm this person. But like, because I played Belle in like Beauty and the Beast, the musical. And I did all those lines and everyone always said how I sounded exactly like Belle. And I did. Like watching back, I'm like, whoa. But like, I'll try to just talk as her like in person. I'm like, I just can't do it. I don't know why. But like, I would just cry. But I mean, we can try later, though. See what happens.
Okay, so the next 3 questions are about Merida. One of them is just says help.
Yes.
With Merida. So the next 2 are more specific. How long did it take you to learn to talk like Merida? And how do you get into Merida's voice before each party? Okay, so the part 1 is how long it took me. So I watched Brave about 150 to 200 times.
Oh my gosh.
I watched YouTube videos on how to learn a Scottish accent. I watched Scottish television. I watched Shrek. I think those were like the four main things. Oh, and I watched obviously park videos of Merida talking.
Yeah.
So those were the 5 things that I did over and over and over and over again for 2 months. It took me 2 months
God.
to get her accent.
That's dedication.
Good. Because I was Haley like ordered the costume and the dress and stuff, and then she had it, and then like 2 weeks later she was like, oh yeah, we're doing this event at the mall and you're gonna be Merida. I sounded like garbage. Absolute garbage. I couldn't do it. So it took me 2 months before I was really confident and was like, yeah, I can, whenever you want me to do the accent, I can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So 2 months.
Wow. Yeah.
But now that I've learned how, now that I have a process of how I learn a voice,
you know how,
I can do it in a week.
Mm-hmm.
Like Snow White took me a week.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't know Merida. Like, I fake it for the parties that I have. Luckily, I'm just like better at accents as a person. Like, I'm able to like pick stuff up. But I know that the Scottish accent that I do isn't necessarily Merida's. It's just like general Scottish. But like, I think I've only done like 2 parties as her, and I fake it and everybody believes me, but I know that like I'm the person that wants to like teach people how to do that accent because it's like, it's not very strong. I can say that.
I feel like that kind of a video should be done. There aren't any videos out there that are like, here's how you talk like so-and-so. Here's how you talk like so-and-so. Right. Like, guys, let us know in the comments. I would be happy to make those kinds of videos. I am horrible at making like YouTube. I don't understand. I'm stupid at YouTube. So it would not be like pretty. There would be no like iMovie anything. It would just be me sitting down like this and being like, ta-da, video.
Yeah, and that's why I do these like this, is I'm just like, I don't know how to make an actual tutorial or how to make an actual video. So if I go live and I just use these screenshots, then people are like, oh, she went live. She just used that. But yeah, I know that like Merida isn't a very strong one for me. I'm very good at like listening to the movie and then copying it like exactly. And like my brother's really good with voices too. It's just when it comes to real life, it's harder for me to relay all of that into real life, I guess. Like singing the song and speaking the voices over and over, I'm pretty good at doing a lot of them. It's just like in real life saying random lines that I've never heard them say before. That's where I think I start to struggle more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the other one was, how do you get into Merida's voice before each party? So I like don't have to do anything specific now. I can you heard me earlier. I did it.
Yeah.
I can just start talking now, and then I can switch into an accent without even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But before I had to like watch a YouTube video, like listen, repeat the line, that kind of stuff. But I don't have to do it anymore.
That's so nice. I mean, you're able to play Merida that much. I love playing Merida. Those are like the 2 best parties that I've ever done. Like she's just so much fun. But like nobody wants to hear, and that's the problem.
It sucks. Mm-hmm. It really sucks.
Because I've
done like 4 parties, 5 parties is her total, and the reason that she gets out so much is that Haley specifically has her at events.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. But yeah. Okay, that was it. I can't really answer this next question because I don't play this character. Tips for Ariel's voice. I find this character most challenging. I don't play Ariel. I can't help you. I'm so sorry. But you could help.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the main thing with Ariel's voice is she's very like, she resonates with her throat and her nose a little bit, like for both of them. I just think that Ariel's voice sounds very much like Belle's toned down. So I think that's what I always think of. But it's also just like, it's so hard to explain voices because like how you were saying, like the different resonant, where you resonate each part of your voice, it's a personal feeling of how you feel that. But yeah, definitely hers is more through her nose and her throat. Especially, I think that just like you said, like watching the movie over and over, just really practicing her voice over and over, and then listening to Belle, because usually what people sound like when they try to talk like Belle at first sounds like Ariel, because it's just a toned down version of Belle. So
yeah, for sure.
I say that, but like you said, like making videos, I'm like, this is how to talk like a character. Like I feel like Ariel and Belle are the two that I know the most. So I feel like if I just get a little more comfortable with it, that would be really cool to like make videos. I'm like, here's how to talk like this person and stuff like that.
Yeah, and we could run through lines that are really popular that they say all the time that you're gonna have to say as the character. And, and then you can listen to it and be like, oh, that's how they say da.
Yeah.
And then we kind of already went over this last question, but basics for talking like Belle. So like we were saying earlier, it's very much, it's not necessarily like how, well, it kind of is how she sounds, but it's more what she's saying and how she says it. Like, I always listen to when I'm doing a Belle party, because I don't play Belle very often, because there's like 6 of us that can play her in our company. Yeah. So when I do play Belle, before every party, I watch the beginning scene, and I watch the part where she's in the library getting a new book from the little library guy. Oh yeah. And he's he tells her to take whatever book, and then she goes, "Oh, thank you very much." And I'm like, and I just like repeat that in my head. And I'm like, thank you very much, thank you very much, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely
that when kids say whatever and you can say thank you, you can say that line.
Yes, exactly. I think, honestly, now thinking, because this whole time, you're like so good at the voices, and I think that Haley really makes sure that you guys all get your voices down really well. Kind of going back to the last question of like, do kids notice? I don't really.
I can't hear you.
No, not again.
Oh wait, you're coming back. Okay, repeat what you just said earlier.
Okay, I was saying like going back to the whole like, do kids notice if you don't have the voice? I'm not very big on voices. I don't really like practice the voices at home. I don't really ask my performers to like memorize the voices. Like I always do for Merida and like Snow White, everyone just kind of talks in a higher register, but we're not really big like, oh, you have to sound exactly like the movie. I guess it's just not something that I've ever thought of like making my performers do. We sing at all the parties, so I think that like singing, like I make sure that all my girls can sing exactly like the character. So I think that that's like a big deal, but I would say that my most comfortable character talking like is probably Belle, just because I was able to play her in the musical, and I think I learned it from that. But you saying like, you mentioning like the opening scene, like I think I know all of that like so by heart that I could just like repeat all of that because I had to sing that exact thing like in the musical. So like that I would say is definitely the easiest. And also like the beginning of Part of Your World when she's like, I just don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things. Just like listening to those speaking parts in the songs, I think that really will learn how to talk as well. But the thank you is like a huge thing, like you said, because you always have to.
Yeah. You always have to say that to kids. So yeah. And I think I'm more like big about voice work for our company than most of the people that I work with. Okay. Not to say that that's a bad thing, but like
you're just
doesn't
really
matter what character.
Making sure.
It doesn't matter what character I'm playing. Like I've been Cinderella a few times, and I watched the movie repeatedly and worked on trying to have a deeper voice, which I can't do very well, but
yeah.
I like tried my best to talk like her through the party, which I didn't like. I didn't get any comments about like the parents really weren't like, oh, you sound exactly like her. No, but for me that like seals the deal.
Yeah,
I guess.
Somebody asked for an example of Snow and Merida. I don't know if you want to do like the change your fate line for Merida. I don't know, like if you want it, there's just like a line that you wanted to say for each of them. Someone just wanted an example of each one.
Yeah. Okay. So for Merida,
not on the spot or anything, but
well, I'm fine with that because this is the video that we're doing. So okay. So sorry, that was I dropped my pen. So for Merida, I feel like the fate one is like short. So I am Merida, firstborn descendant of Clan Dunbrook, and I'll be shooting for my own hand. I know she
You just
knows it,
sound
but
just
I'm
like her.
not going to yell at you guys, so.
You
There's
just
that one.
You sound just like her, and I'm floored. It's amazing. Anytime you have Merida, I'll just call you to come and do the Merida party for me in Chicago.
Sounds great. And then for Snow White,
Yeah, I don't know what she says specifically.
hi, Christina. I'm trying to think of a good line. Oh,
Yeah, I'm trying to something about gooseberry pie, wanting gooseberry pie. I mean, I remember the exact, when I auditioned for Disney and I got a call back to Snow White, I remember the exact paragraph.
I knew you were telling me about this. I was so jealous. I was like,
literally, they gave me, like, I remember.
Yeah. Here we go.
For some,
Thank you, Walt's Princess. Want to know a secret? Promise not to tell. We are standing by, wishing well.
yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
There.
Yeah, I want to be able to do the voices perfect, but I can when I'm listening to it. I'm really good at doing Rapunzel, actually. I'm really good at doing, like, the Mandy Moore, like, wispiness, I guess, that she has. How she has, like, she's very nasally and she's very, like, whispery. But I need to, like, listen to it. Like, I've tried to do that voice at a party before, and I just, like, can't. It's, like, I can only do it when I'm copying stuff, because it's, like, so different from my actual voices. But I could do it when I'm listening. To, like, when I just, like, copy things. But that'd be really cool. I want to do, like, a video of just, like, copying their voices, because I can do some of them.
Actually, I've watched so many videos on YouTube of people copying Disney, like doing Disney princess impressions, and I'm like, I kind of want to do that. That kind of sounds fun.
I know, I do that too. Or I'll have on Facebook, people will always tag me in anything that's princess. And so they'll tag me in, like, trying to sound like them, and I'm like, okay, thanks for tagging me. What Elsa's voice sounds like, kind of like my actual voice, very low.
Yeah, I can't.
And sarcastic. No. I think when I do Elsa, I feel weird talking to kids in a low voice, so I just still do, like, a general princess voice. If anybody else has any other questions, you can send them to me or send them to Snow Merida. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Hopefully we will see you guys again together soon. Bye.
Bye.